Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, stories of success through setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. Today, we have Stephanie with us to share her story, and I'm super excited to get started. I've been dying for this interview. Can you briefly tell us about your story?
Of course. So I'm Stephanie Chapman. I am CEO and founder of Mom Strong. Um, my story kind of started with being a two-time teen mom. That was where it all began. And I just knew that, I didn't ruin my life like everybody told me, I did. And I knew I was meant for more. And I really just kept pushing and striving for that. And I feel like now I'm a mom of five, happily married, and, have the big house and the dogs and, this whole picture perfect quote unquote life that I had in my mind.
I love that. That's amazing. And then, so what adversity have you answered, and how did you answer that?
I think the judgments was a huge one, from the start. Like I said, everybody was, had this certain judgment of me from the very beginning. As soon as they met me and knew that, I got pregnant at 16 and had my first son at 17, second at 19, she had my third at 21, they just automatically assumed that I kind of fit into this bubble of, just not motivated or, making bad choices, which I will take full responsibility for. I was not making the best choices, but that didn't mean that I was a bad person. It didn't mean that I didn't have bigger goals, bigger aspirations. And I just always kept pushing, forward.
I I know a little bit more about your story just because I follow you and I've been in your circle a little bit, but can you share why maybe you got some of those judgments beyond just having your children young? I know that you've had
Yeah.
quite a story of struggle and adversity and what you rose above.
So during that time frame, I was also in a very abusive relationship, physically, emotionally. I share a lot of my story in my group on Facebook, but I feel like that was one of the biggest things that held me back. Just kind of took away my self worth. It just hindered everything that I did. I wasn't able to really come out of my shell, and do the things that I knew that I was meant to do because I did not have that self love there. I just didn't think that I could do it at certain points in my life, and kind of putting my foot down and saying, no, enough is enough. It's time to change my life. It's time to change my kid's life. And that's kind of where Mom Strong came from, is that inner strength that you have to pull out of essentially nowhere, within you, and just go for it.
What do you think? I mean, I have some other questions, but what do you think was kind of the pivotal moment where you were like, this is enough. I can do this. And Mom Strong is really what came out of all of that, what you built from that pivotal moment. Where do you think that was at in that story? Because obviously, young mom, that abusive relationship where you were like you said, the self-worth, just anything that had to do with owning what you could and couldn't do. Do you feel like the judgments from others were harder because you also had that other aspect that you were dealing with that was also kind of chipping away at that at the same time? Because I mean, I feel like we always deal with judgment, but our ability to handle it maybe are affected by our surroundings and what we're
Yeah, definitely. So I do feel that it was harder just because, you're constantly being told by the person that you love and that you're a partner with in life. Uh, Fortunately, I never married him. But, my partner at the time is telling me all these negative things constantly and just berating me. And then you have your family telling you that, you're screwing up even more. And then you have the judgment, just the outside judgments, like you said, that everybody gets. So being able to handle that on a day-to-day basis on top of, clinical anxiety and depression, and now figure out later, it's probably ADHD. There's a lot of things that, just kind of compounded at that time in my life. That was just this huge weight that I just constantly had to carry on top of, that financial burden. I think that that was like the biggest thing at the time is I always worked. I held down a job, even though he did not want me to. He was totally against it. He wanted me to be the stay-at-home mom, but it was just one of those things that I refused to give up. I had to have my financial independence of him, and I had to know that no matter what, me and my kids were taken care of. And that was the one thing that my mom really instilled in me. So that I feel like that was a huge thing that kind of pulled me in the right directions. Like I started hitting the top. No matter where I would go, I was automatically in a management position. I was automatically kind of taking over that role. So it's like I saw that I had this ability, and it was really just honing in on that. And like I said, just not giving up and pushing through.
That is beautiful. Oh, I'm really glad that you did that too. Like, and that you had the strength to do that. I can't, I feel like you embody your business very well. Mom's like
Yes.
comes
Pretty
back.
much everything I've gone through is come out in Mom Strong. Like the last few years, it was like just everything from, the personal training background, my management background, my personal background with my story. It all came together with Mom Strong.
I love that. What do you think it is in entrepreneurs that just makes us continue on through those challenges without giving up when the times are tough? Because even when you weren't an entrepreneur, you saw that ability in yourself. You knew that you had that even in that really tough situation, all of it. So what do you think it is about entrepreneurs that we have that kind of spirit?
A few things came to mind when you asked that question. It's like I knew from high school, like before I even had my kids, that entrepreneurship was where I was headed. Um, I don't like other people dictating my time. I don't like other people dictating how much I can make. I just like having that freedom. And then, like I said, like, you keep hitting the top at certain points, and it's like, well, where do I go from here? And there really is no top, when you're an entrepreneur, there's no limits. And that excites me. That makes me happy. And I think that excitement is what kind of just keeps us there and wants us, drives us to keep going.
That's beautiful. I agree. I think that especially I also feel like a lot of entrepreneurs kind of knew or had an inkling that they were going to be that when they were younger. Like we either were told
Oh
we're
yeah.
bossy or we were told, that you're trying to be stifled and we're like, nope, not gonna happen. We just got
Yeah.
where do you go? Like, so I think that's something. Do you think it's something you're born with, or do you think it's something that you can also develop? Like that's an interesting aspect to me.
Um, I definitely think it's a little bit of both. I think certain people are probably born with it. But I do think that, your family life growing up plays a huge part in that. And I will say that my dad was a huge person that always said, if you really want to go somewhere, you need to do it your own way. You really need to figure out what you're good at and create your own thing, no matter what it is. Because he always hated that life of being, stuck in that 9 to 5. And even now, he's not happy that he's still doing it. He's finally found a job that he loves, but it took a lot of time to get there because he's not creating his own thing.
Yeah,
And so I knew that that was just what I wanted to do differently.
that's amazing. I love hearing stories. That's great. So then what one takeaway or lesson do you think other mompreneurs would be able to use from your experience?
I really just think it's not giving up. That's the main thing. There's always going to be setbacks. There's always going to be hardships. I mean, like I said, everything that I've grown up until this point has been through hardships. Nothing about this has been easy. Even the first year, I barely made anything. I was really just growing an audience and kind of winging it. It's like, I know this is the thing that I want to do and I just need to figure it out. But you really have to keep pushing through and just not give up and believe that you have it in you to do it.
Is there anything that you did during that time to help you not give up? Like, was there one thing that you did consistently or not even consistently? Is there something that you just did throughout that time to make sure that you wouldn't give up? Like, because there are times that you just want to burn it all down. You want to you're like,
Oh
all
yeah.
right, fine, this is enough. But what is it that you found that helped you through those moments?
It's really just looking at my kids and knowing that I'm doing this for them. Like, yeah, it's for me. I'm obviously very proud of what I've created, but just knowing that they're watching me and reminding myself of that and really going back to like the fundamentals. It's those basic things of setting up a decent schedule, the block schedule, all these little things that we always hear about. But the reason why we go back to them is because they work. And, in those moments where everything feels like it's falling apart around you, just go back to those fundamentals And, you can push through anything, you can make anything work, and just know that it's temporary. And, it's not going to be hard the entire time. It's going to get easier.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. What is the best way for others to find you if they'd like to work with you or learn more about what you do?
So the Mom Strong Tribe on Facebook is where I have most of my updates. Momstrongmindset.com is also my website, currently undergoing construction. I'm kind of transferring a whole bunch of stuff over, but you can also find all of my updates there. Scheduling calls with me and things like that can be found in both of those places.
Do you have anything upcoming that they might want to participate in?
I have a few things going on, but I'm launching a new membership model right now. I'm in the process of doing that. So keep an eye out for actually it's 3 different memberships. It's kind of meeting you where you are in your journey, and you kind of pick which membership you want to join. So be on the lookout for all of those things. I always have workshops and trainings and fun things going on. So just check out the tribe on Facebook and you'll see it all there.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else that we may have overlooked in my questioning that you wanted to share or make sure that others out there that are listening to your story, that are listening to this particular story, may want to know about or hear?
I don't think so. I just think that, building those connections and like I said, keep striving for that bigger, better thing that you want in your life is all you really need.
So you mentioned connections. Do you think that also is an important part in getting through the tough parts, or like is that
Right.
something they can focus on when it is hard to help them
Yeah.
get through as well?
Yeah. I feel like just your support system in general, that kind of goes into those connections, because my husband is a huge part of why I am where I am. He was able to financially support us through that beginning portion of me creating Mom Strong. And even now, business is always up and down and all over the place. And so having that steady, consistent income from him, has been completely, life changing for us. But I had to start with basically nothing. I didn't have anyone. And so really creating my support system and my tribe before going into all of this was kind of a key component to, the growth that I've had.
I love that. That's so beautiful. I can't even. Your story hits my heart very close to home, and it's nice to see you flourish. So my mom was also in an abusive relationship, and my dad is sober. He's great now, but she told me that she always wanted to like be an interior designer, which I totally could see. She's 100% great at that, but she never did it because she was so focused on raising me and my sister, and then I think she lost that spark, I
Yeah.
suppose, along the way. And so, I mean, she still does it in her home. She'll come and do that
Right.
in our home sometimes. And so you can see those little bits. And I've even recently been like, you're retired. Why don't you just do little bits of it? And she's like, no, I'm retired now. Like I don't, that's still what I do. But so it's beautiful to see, somebody else be able to rise out of that and still have that spark and still really go for that and know that it's okay to go after your dream.
Yeah.
Um, and just see like the dichotomy of what maybe could have been if she
Right.
hadn't lost that spark. And
One, I'm hoping to create
not saying
that
she
for other
regrets
people.
anything. Yeah.
Right. That
But
was my main thing with Mom Strong, is like I want other moms to hold on to that spark and find it again, before, you kind of hit that point of, feeling like it's too late. I
yeah.
don't believe that it's ever too late, but I know that certain people do come to that point where they're just like, no, I'm over it. I don't want to do that anymore. But I
Yep.
really want to harness that while they still have it, and just remind them that there's so much more than just parenting, just taking care of your house and, being the cab driver. That there's just so much more to life than all of that.
Yeah. And you can do all of it. You can have your daytime job and still work on your dream and still raise your kids and still be a wonderful parent and mom. And
Yeah,
um,
it's totally possible. It's hard. It definitely is hard, but it's totally doable, and it's worth it in the end.
I love that so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us today. It is so inspirational. Like I said, it's very close to my heart. I love hearing it. And your willingness to be open about it is very much appreciated and needed.
Thank you
I
very much for having me.
absolutely. I'm so glad. For those of you out there facing your own adversity, know you are not alone. That is the whole point of what we are doing in this interview series. You are not alone, no matter what your journey is, what it looks like. You're not alone. We're all going through some sort of struggles. We've all been there, and we all have something we can share to help lift you up. When you need an extra hand or a mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we'd love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society. It is wonderful. It is a great community. And you'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, which is very important along the way to make sure that
Yes.
you are hitting something, some milestone that keeps you motivated and keeps you going. But there is so much more for both your business and your mom life in the Mom Elevated Society as well. Until next time, keep shooting for the stars.